They should be very careful because bad things can happen.
Robbers storm a consignment shop in Pleasant Hill, and they get more than they bargained for because a worker was armed and ready to act.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that really warms my heart, okay? Because there's nothing like a good old Second Amendment story, right? It's nothing like a Second Amendment story, okay? And this is a great Second Amendment story, and it basically is a prime example of why the Second Amendment exists. That takes place out in Pleasant Hill, California. That makes it even better because it's a Second Amendment story that takes place out in California, a state that wants to be tough on guns but soft on crime, which has been a disaster, okay? California is a failed state. California is a state of chaos because they've effectively made crimes like theft and robbery legal. And again, that has made a lot of these liberal cities in the state of California lawless hellholes, okay? They are cities of chaos and destruction. However, this story right here, it is a good example of what needs to start happening in order to disincentivize crime, okay? You need business owners to start stepping up and showing that there are consequences, potentially deadly consequences, if you try to rob my business, okay? Just a few days ago, I did a story about a business owner out in Los Angeles that got his business robbed in the middle of the night, and then he was boohoo whining, complaining about Democrats and the fact that he doesn't feel like they are giving him reasons to vote for him. Well, again, effectively, in the short term, the best thing that he can do is to better protect himself so that he can protect his business and not necessarily rely on these politicians, because this story is going to show you that you can't rely on politicians and you probably can't rely on police either, right? So I want to get into it. This story is a pretty great story. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, Night Watch Pro by Prepper's Peak. Night vision binoculars are the coolest pieces of tech that anybody can have, but until recently, they've just been too expensive for the average Joe. Luckily, newer models have caused prices to come way down. If you enjoy fishing, hunting, spotting wildlife, or you just want to keep an eye out for potential intruders or young scholars or criminals after dark, you'll find a good pair of night vision binoculars very useful. This is why myself and tens of thousands of others are getting Night Watch Pros. Night Watch Pros affordably allow anyone to see with predator-like vision in pitch darkness. They're highly effective for watching wildlife, scenic viewing, surveillance, patrol detection, home protection, and much more. Plus, they include high-end night vision features such as 4K video recording, a clear HD display, 5x zoom, anti-shake technology, and a long-lasting rechargeable battery. Tens of thousands of 5-star reviews back up the idea that Night Vision Pros are the best choice for night vision binoculars on the market. So this holiday season, give the gift of protection to your loved ones. Place your order for the Night Watch Pro and you'll receive exclusive access to the Prepper's Peak newsletter, free express shipping, and last but not least, a 100% lifetime guarantee replacement. Simply click on the link in the description and go to nightwatchpro.com and use promo code HOLIDAY to get 25% off and take advantage of this limited time deal before they sell out.
They should be very careful because bad things can happen.
Robbers storm a consignment shop in Pleasant Hill, and they get more than they bargained for because a worker was armed and ready to act. Our crime reporter Henry Lee live now at the Pleasant Hill Police Department with the details. Henry.
Yeah, these guys probably didn't expect to stare down the barrel of a gun after they invaded this consignment shop. They were back outside in less than 30 seconds.
I showed him my gun and I told him to stop it. I have a gun.
This is the moment a group of would-be robbers came face to face with 73-year-old Albert Marcous's .38 caliber revolver.
They ran because they saw my gun and I was, serious about it. They panicked and they ran out.
It happened Monday afternoon at Estates Consignments on Contra Costa Boulevard in Pleasant Hill, which sells jewelry, rings, and watches. Surveillance video shows this woman walking through the store. Marcoux says she was a scout, scoping out all the security cameras while on the phone with the young men. Here you see the woman walking out and stalling, trying to keep the security guard from shutting the door to let her friends in. But they force the door open and bum rush their way inside. One guy's carrying a sledgehammer. After a worker screams, Marcoux makes his way to the jewelry section, as do the intruders. Marcoux then pulls out his gun. The group scatters out of the shop and climb into two Infiniti Q50s, one white, the other black. But almost immediately, a Pleasant Hill police cruiser pulls up right behind them. I've learned that's because the white Infiniti is stolen and triggered a license plate reader alert. Despite the quick police response, those Infinitis took off and the intruders escaped. Marcoux says perhaps with their lives.
If they threaten my life or my life of the employees, I would use the gun, 100%.
He says he keeps his revolver on him inside the store because of recent similar incidents. This video shows two men smashing display cases and stealing jewelry at the Home Consignment Center in Danville a week ago.
I didn't want to shoot anybody, right? But I have to make a statement. Too many bad things happened. Stores get robbed left and right.
The intruders have yet another reason to consider themselves lucky. Tiger, Marcoux's German Shepherd, happened to be at the groomers that day.
I have a message for all the business owners to take example and fight for themselves, because if you don't fight for yourself, nobody will.
So the message here, you never know who just exactly might be armed. Anyone with information is asked to contact Pleasant Hill Police. Live in Pleasant Hill, Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, you never know. Henry, thank you.
And this is exactly why the Second Amendment is so important, right? This is exactly why it's so important, okay? Because when the government fails to do their job, you can't depend on the politicians to fix it. They're never going to fix it. You have to stand up for yourself and send a message to these thugs that this is the potential consequences, right? The consequences are potentially fatal for trying to rob my store, period. That's exactly what has to happen. And that, in my opinion, I think is probably the only thing that's going to disincentivize these types of robberies, because it's not like the politicians are going to do anything about it. They're not going to do anything. They're gonna actually try to incentivize it even more. So you got to defend yourself. You got to stand up for yourself. And that is what the Second Amendment is for. Now, the one thing about this story I want you guys to notice is the scout, right? The female scout that went into the store, scoping out security cameras and stuff. And when I saw that, I was like, this is why profiling exists, right? This is why you have people who are in these stores that will go up to customers who may just be honestly shopping and looking at things to buy. They may be legitimate shoppers, and they will ask questions. They will get profiled. They will be suspected of, potentially committing a crime or planning to commit a crime. Well, why does that happen? Well, stories like this. Where you have people that will go in stores, that will walk around and pretend like they're legitimate customers, but yet they're actually really a part of a crime, right? They're trying to commit a crime, or they're planning a crime, or they're aiding and abetting in a crime. And this is why people get profiled. This is exactly why people get profiled. So when people boo-hoo, whine, and cry, oh, God, they came up to me and they profiled me because I was black. Well, look at stories like this. I was just shopping. I wasn't doing anything. I was shopping while black. Right? This is what they say. Well, look at stories like this. This is why you can't shop while black, or you can't shop while a so-called person of color, okay? Because I'm not entirely sure if that lady was black. She looked black to me, but she could have been Latina, okay, or some other ethnicity. She definitely wasn't white. And the young scholars, the robbers, hey, if I had to guess, I'd say they're probably people of color too, right? Most likely. But who knows? They could be white. Okay, they could be white. I'm just going with the FBI statistics, man. I'm just going with the statistics, the probabilities, okay? So with that being said, again, when people want to complain about profiling, yeah, this is why that exists, because you have people that participate in these behaviors, and in virtue of the fact that they are participating in these behaviors, they are creating stereotypes for people that look like them. So business owners, because again, everybody has a survival instinct, is going to say, for the survival of my family and my business, I need to profile, I need to stereotype, okay? Because again, he needs to be aware, always aware of the probability that any one customer in the store could be aiding and abetting in a crime or actively trying to participate in a crime. Okay, so he needs to be actively aware of that, because he only has a split second to react. Okay, in a situation like that, it's only a split second. They move quick, they move fast. So you got to be aware, and you got to be cautious, and you got to use your instincts that God gave you in order to survive. That's what it comes down to, man. That's what it comes down to. So again, people that get upset about profiling and people approaching me while I'm shopping as a person of color and they're saying that I look suspicious, don't blame them. They just trying to survive, right? They just try to save money. They don't want to get robbed out of business. Blame the people that look like you that continuously do these acts of crime and violence. Blame them. They're the ones that are at fault, okay? But like I said, this story right here, excellent story, amazing story, okay, that I think is a story that honestly should get national level attention, where a business owner stands up for himself using his Second Amendment rights. But again, they'll never show that on CNN or MSNBC, because that goes against the anti-gun narrative, right? That goes against the narrative. But defensive uses of guns, again, are the most important reason that we have the Second Amendment. And stories like this are an example of that. Right? People want to pretend that guns are only used for offensive purposes, and that's just not true. A vast majority of the time, guns are used for self-defense. And when you have states like California that have decided to be soft on crime, as a law-abiding citizen, you definitely need a gun as a means of self-defense, especially if you own a business, a retail business that is open to the public. Absolutely. You absolutely need a firearm in order to protect yourself and your family and your livelihood. It's really that simple. So, hey, kudos to this guy. Shout out to him. I hope that this serves as a deterrent to anybody thinking about robbing this guy's store. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.